financial problems, elder law, tax problems, business matters, divorce, personal injury, bankruptcy, your life, your reality. Life is complicated. There is the law and there is reality. Welcome to Law and Reality, sponsored by Thav Gross. Now here's your host, Ken Gross.
Welcome to this segment of Law and Reality. Today's topic is getting really old, and it's a lot of work. Brian Small, good morning.
Good morning, Ken, and I'm wondering, just really old, is that you?
You're not enough of you, Brian. Good morning, David Einstanding.
Good morning,
I want
Ken.
to get to the topics today. We got a special guest with us today, Pat Simasko from Simasko Law. Pat is our co-sponsor of the show and our elder law expert, so he's back at the show in the studio today for the simple reason that we're talking about getting really old. It's a lot of work, and we're going to kind of close Brian's mic down for the rest of the show, and we're going to concentrate on Pat.
Thank you.
But I want to talk about today, because we've talked about elder issues before, and a lot of times we start with Social Security and then we move on, and by the time we move on, we run out of time. So I want to hold off on Social Security, and what I want to talk about are the issues that you need to address when your parents get really old. And what I mean by really old is not me, Brian. I mean, my dad is 91. When you're in your 50s to 60s, if you're fortunate enough to have your parents living, they're in their mid-80s to their mid-90s, and issues arise. So I kind of want to focus on mom and dad, or it may just be mom because dad may not be with us, or it may be dad and mom may not be with us. And I want to go through kind of the questions and the situations that we encounter. So I'm going to start right off with the first one. Is mom or dad living on their own, and is that a dangerous situation? I think that's the first question that comes up.
It always has to be there because, and it's funny because you think of really old people and you can transition into their being really old, or you have that emergency situation when they become really old in 2 seconds. They have a stroke, or they fall and broke their hip or something like that. And you have to first start out, if they're starting to get dementia, the first big concern is, are they wandering? Are they going to get out the front door and they're going to get lost? We had a case where they slipped out the door of an independent living facility and Dad drowned in the little river behind the facility because no one was watching them. Yeah, so it's that emergency situation, life, protect them. Then you have to start looking at their environment. Are they falling? What do we need to do with grab bars and cords and carpet and the little dog that's going to run under their feet and trip and fall, and now they're falling, they can't get up, right?
Right.
So what do you do? Where's the thing?
Actually, I want to ask Pat about his thought about this. What I think usually or typically is the biggest event, or the elephant in the room, is at that point when you know that the parent or the grandparent should not be driving. Not only is it a danger to themselves, but it's a danger to others.
Right.
And is there anything that you've seen in the law
I just have to
or
go
anything like
beep.
that?
We have the first outline jump of the show. David Einstanding has jumped ahead on the outline to
I
the
told you I
driving
wasn't going to
issue.
read the outline.
But that's okay.
You knew I wasn't reading
Because
the
you know
outline.
that's such an
But
important topic.
it's a very important topic.
But it's timely because
Yes.
we talk about an event, but that's usually one of the first events that you have to tackle.
Actually, I don't even think it's the first event you should be tackling, but it's a first event that people actually, all of a sudden, it brings your parents into focus where all of a sudden, oh my God, Dad really is old.
It's a real hot issue, and it's a real big issue, and I'm going through that with my father, and I can tell you the transition. The first thing I was worried about is he was living on a second floor apartment back 4 years ago, and I could see his knees are not in good shape, and my panic was he'd fall down the stairs, and he enjoyed being independent, and he was also driving at the time. And we had this constant debate. I'd say to him, Dad, you get to fall down those stairs only once, and then you don't have to worry about anything because you're gone.
Yeah.
And everyone is going to say, how could you let your father live on the second floor of an apartment and then he falls down the stairs? Look what you did. So I finally, after an event occurred, got him to move to a senior residence facility where they have dinner. He's in an elevator and he's much happier. But that's a battle,
Oh, yeah.
getting them to
Actually,
give up that independence.
and in all deference and fairness to you, those were like Joe Louis stairs. Those weren't just a few
they
stairs.
were
Those were like 20 steps.
Yeah.
And no turns.
Nothing.
You had to go straight up and down. Those stairs are hard for. Were
I
hard for
wouldn't go
me.
on them. No
Well,
way.
And then the car came.
Yeah, well, the first thing on the house is it's the basement, because all the houses have their washer and dryer in the basement. So mom's always going down to the washer and dryer, and that's where they're going to fall, going down the
But
steps.
it's so hard. Is there some, have you ever heard about the legislature, the Secretary of State, coming in and making it easier to make that decision about
the car-
mobility and
well-
driving?
well,
Because when you're the kid, it's hard to
Well, let's
implement.
start talking about the car. We'll just get in that
Sure.
subject. For every dad, he wants to be relevant. He wants to be important. He wants to have his independence, and those car keys are the most important thing in his life, no matter what. When my dad had the stroke, that's the first thing he wanted was the car key. So how can you have that conversation? Well, there's a couple different ways. Number one, if they have dementia really bad, it's okay to lie to your parents about it. Dad, the car broke. And I thought I was so
Oh,
smart.
yeah.
I go, hey, Dad, the car broke, and you go take off the battery cable so it just doesn't start. Or you lose the keys, and they can't find them.
That's actually a good one. It happened to me.
Yeah, yeah.
I got a call about a month, 6 weeks ago at 11 o'clock on
Oh,
Sunday
yeah,
night,
yeah,
and from the Algonac Police Department. And all of a sudden, so we had to go out to Algonac to get him. The next day, I took him home, and I said to him, what about, he says, what about the car? And I said, bad news on the car, you're done with the car.
Yeah.
And he accepted it at that point, but you're right, he has dementia, that's why he
Yeah.
got out there. It wasn't all that bad, but it's getting progressively worse. And he accepted it, and at his cognitive point, he realized it made sense, but then the next day he's saying, where's my car?
Yeah.
Oh, your car's gone. Oh,
Well,
yeah.
we had the case where Dad drove the wrong way on I-94 and hit someone. So.
Hold that thought. When we come back on a break, we're going to talk about the bad issue, and that's what we have to avoid. We'll be back.
It's devastating, the effects of debt and foreclosure on you and your family. There is a solution.
Worth Ave Gross, our firm will solve your problem. Some fear the word bankruptcy, but in reality, it's a strategy to save your home and to eliminate debt. If you're in financial trouble, timing is critical. You need to take action now. We've been saving homes and eliminating debt for over 33 years.
Call Fav Gross 888-235-HELP. Tax problems are major problems. Don't let the IRS levy your wages and seize your assets. There is a solution.
Worth Ave Gross, our firm will solve your problem.
If you're behind on your taxes and owe money to the IRS, call Fav Gross.
We've been solving tax problems for 32 years. We stop wage levies, resolve unfiled returns, and obtain the best possible settlements.
Call Fav Gross today, 888-235-HELP.
A lifetime of hard work. If you don't have the right plan in place, you can lose your home, your savings, and more. And you didn't come this far to lose everything. Samasco Law wants you to know that laws are changing. Today, the average cost of nursing home care is $85,000 a year. With proper planning, we can help protect your life savings and get you the Medicaid and nursing home benefits you deserve.
How much can you afford to lose? Call Samasco Law today.
If you're retired and in a financial crisis, there is a way out.
It pains me when I see a retired couple exhaust their savings by paying credit card bills and for a home hopelessly underwater.
Fav Gross specializes in helping retired people in financial crisis.
You just can't keep paying until you're broke. You need to address the problem now.
888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP.
Worth Ave Gross, our firm will solve your problem.
Is the debt piling up? Struggling to get by?
It's all about preserving future income. Bankruptcy is one option. When it's right, it's the least costly, most effective way to save your home, eliminate a second mortgage, and wipe out credit card debt. But you need to address the problem now.
We help people with bankruptcy. Call the experts.
Worth Ave Gross, our firm will solve your problem.
888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP.
All All right, so when we left off, we were right at the crux to the issue. If you don't take the car away soon enough, bad things can happen.
we had
and you're putting other people
Oh
at
my
risk.
God, yeah. We had the one case where Dad, he drove out and he got lost and went down the wrong way on I-94 and hurt someone really, really bad. He died, but the other driver was hurt really, really bad.
We had another one in our office where someone was actually run over on the
Yeah.
side of the road.
Listen, it happens
Killed.
to everybody.
Every
My
day.
grandmother lived right over here. She turned left on Telegraph, heading south in the wrong lane.
Yeah.
I was behind her. I had to run out onto Telegraph and stop her car
Right.
and get her out and spin her around and get
So
her
you
the
know
right way.
what it comes down to is some people fall into the lucky category, and the last event before they go and say we take off the keys or the car doesn't work was a non-injury event, like in my case. Other people don't. It goes back to what you're saying is when mom or dad gets to that point, and it's usually probably dad more often than mom, you've got to take action. And if they are suffering from dementia, I think Pat's suggestion is probably the best way of accomplishing it. Take advantage of the dementia,
Right.
fib to them in order to say that the car's not there so that you don't insult their manlyhood.
It's always, no matter how old Dad is, or especially with Mom, no matter how old Mom is, Mom and daughters, it's always the mom, and they know how to push your buttons. So you also have the ability to call the police or call the doctor and tip them off, say, hey, this is what's going on. This is what's going on with Dad. We can't do it. We don't have the guts to do it because that's Dad, and he doesn't listen to us anytime. So all of a sudden, they'll get a letter from the Secretary of State, time to come in and do your review. Come in for a driving test or something like that.
I
And
had thrown out the joking idea of starting a business coming up to say to have mom and dad tested for driving, and we guarantee to the children ahead of time that mom and dad are not going to pass the test.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know, $50, you get a certificate saying, "Sorry, Dad, you failed the
there
test."
you go. That's a great idea. Yeah. So, but it's important. But really, the key is at some point in time, the kids have to realize that Dad is no longer the dad, and he's the kid now, and you have to treat.
And
that
it's our
situation.
responsibility as the kids to take the action. And that's one of the harder things, is
But-
all of a sudden you don't even want that responsibility, but it is your responsibility.
But isn't it, we're talking about driving and taking away cars, but that isn't really the only accident that could be happening. Handling money is just as big of a problem. Mom and dad start writing checks to the church on the TV
let's frame it in the question. Are mom and dad still able to handle their finances, and do you need to take it over? And then what are the tools that we use with the power of attorney? Explain that, Pat.
Well, first of all, there was an author, Dr. Michael Fink, who wrote an article who said that when you're 60 years old, your financial decision-making abilities start to drop about 2% per year, just a normal product of aging. But when you're 80, you have 100% confidence in every financial decision you ever made. So there's that big gap between perception and reality. And every kid says, my dad's fine, he's been handling it for years. Or mom says, Dad handled it for years, he's doing good, and he's not paying attention. And then stock market crashes, he's not watching it, there goes all the money. Or now the bills aren't getting paid, and the shut off, or the worst, you get the financial exploitation with the scam artists calling.
Exactly what
What's
I'm
the
talking
solution?
about.
What's the solution?
The kids have to get involved. One of the kids have to get involved. When you're appointed power of attorney, you can't sit back and just watch it happen. You have to become active. And that's so hard because a lot of the parents are so quiet and secretive, and they're from the old school and they don't talk about
So
their
could
money.
you quickly go through the steps, because we talk about it in generalities, but if you really don't know, A, what a power of attorney is, and B, let's say you get the document done, you go to your attorney, now it's sitting there.
Right.
What do you do?
I think mechanic-wise, you need a durable power of attorney.
Well, the reality is, whether you're on the bank account or you have a power of attorney, you have to sit down with mom and say, Mom, it's time. We got to start talking about this stuff. We have to have this conversation. And if the daughter's from California, she's got to fly in and talk about it. Christmas, Easter, Thanksgiving, you have to have that conversation first. Then you have to start looking to see that they have the financial legal documents in place to allow the family member to help
take
out.
over.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you've got to know what's there in order to be able to
yeah.
manage it. I just read an article the other day, and the parents were the kids were suffering through the problem of mom and dad had like 30, 40 bank accounts spread out and hidden all throughout the house.
Yeah.
You need to know what's there. You need the passwords. You need the account numbers and everything else. Then you need a durable power of attorney, part of an estate plan, and you also need a healthcare power of attorney in case they need to go into the hospital and they have health issues from the standpoint of, you know, whether you want to resuscitate or don't resuscitate. These are issues.
You know, what do you do though?
that
The
come
parent
up on
may
a
say,
regular
the
basis.
parent might say, I don't want them to know what my trust
Yes,
is.
none of your
I don't want
business.
them to
Really?
know.
Find out when I'm not
I don't
there.
want them to know which kid's getting what. Then
So,
what do? Do you
here-
try to get an independent person in there?
Well, when you look at, let's talk dementia with Alzheimer's, they say there's 4 different stages of Alzheimer's. There's actually about 8. And it's based on the mental competency. An 8-year-old has an 8-year-old competency level, 7, 6, age 3, level 3 has a 3-year-old competency level. At some point in time, you have to treat your parent like he's a 7-year-old kid. You can't let the 7-year-old tell you what to do. You have to become the parent, and you just have to be forceful. No, we're going to talk about this, Mom.
You know, and one of the things
And they
about
will.
that,
They will listen eventually.
what I'm finding is when you lay down the hammer and you're very firm in the position and you don't budge, all of a sudden they
Yes.
accept it quickly. But if you give them that little opening, they want to exert their
Just
their
like your dad
authority.
with the car.
With the car and everything else. When I
Yeah.
tell him, Dad, this is how it's going to be, he kind of pauses and goes, okay.
And he gets
But if I say to him,
relieved.
what do you think of this?
Right.
Oh, no, absolutely not. If you ask them, no. If you tell them, then you're going to gain acceptance.
Right.
But you know what? That one of the things, it's really hard, but people don't realize it's hard on the kid as well.
Oh,
because
huge.
you're stepping into a role you've never been there before. You've played that role with your children, but you're talking about playing that role with your dad and your mom, and it's tough.
Tax problems are major problems. Don't let the IRS levy your wages and seize your assets. There is a solution.
Worth Ave Gross, our firm will solve your problem.
If you're behind on your taxes and owe money to the IRS, call Thav Gross.
We've been solving tax problems for 32 years. We stop wage levies, resolve unfiled returns, and obtain the best possible settlements.
Call Thav Gross today, 888-235-HELP.
A lifetime of hard work. If you're approaching retirement and don't have the right plan in place, you can lose your home, your investments, and your savings. And you didn't come this far to lose everything. Putting a solid strategy in place with Samasco Law legally protects your assets as well as your wishes. Since a will doesn't cover you medically or financially, Samasco Law goes beyond ordinary asset management protection to safeguard everything you have.
How much can you afford to lose? Call Samasco Law today.
It's devastating, the effects of debt and foreclosure on you and your family. There is a solution.
Worth Ave Gross, our firm will solve your problem. Some fear the word bankruptcy, but in reality, it's a strategy to save your home and to eliminate debt. If you're in financial trouble, timing is critical. You need to take action now. We've been saving homes and eliminating debt for over 33 years.
Call Thav Gross, 888-235-HELP. If you're retired and in a financial crisis, there is a way out.
It pains me when I see a retired couple exhaust their savings by paying credit card bills and for a home hopelessly underwater.
Thav Gross specializes in helping retired people in financial crisis.
You just can't keep paying until you're broke. You need to address the problem now.
888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP.
Worth Ave Gross, our firm will solve your problem.
A lifetime of hard work. If you don't have the right plan in place, you can lose your home, your savings, and more. And you didn't come this far to lose everything. Samasco Law wants you to know that laws are changing. Today, the average cost of nursing home care is $85,000 a year. With proper planning, we can help protect your life savings and get you the Medicaid and nursing home benefits you deserve.
How much can you afford to lose? Call Samasco Law today.
Is the debt piling up? Struggling to get by?
It's all about preserving future income. Bankruptcy is one option. When it's right, it's the least costly, most effective way to save your home, eliminate a second mortgage, and wipe out credit card debt. but you need to address the problem now.
We help people with bankruptcy. Call the experts.
We're Thav Gross. Our firm will solve your problem.
888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP.
All right, let's do announcements, and then we'll get right back into this issue on caregiving and what happens if mom and dad have to go to the hospital and so forth. Tuesdays, noon to 1, 6 to 7 p.m., Law and Reality Live is on WCHB 1200 AM 99.9 FM. Thursdays, 3 to 4 p.m., Law and Reality Now on 9:10 a.m. with Cliff Russell. That's our newest show, so be sure and catch us on the radio. We have 2 seminars coming up, one of which is right on topic with the material we're talking about today. Planning for your last 40 years. Pat's going to join us and walk through the elder law issues, Medicaid planning, the nursing home issue, what happens about caregiving expenses, critical information. I'm going to cover material about basic estate planning for you if you're in your 40s and 50s and early 60s. Brian's going to talk about debt issues that affect the elderly. Good topical material that is on Wednesday, April 27th, 6 to 7:30 p.m. You sign up at lawandreality.com or thavgross.com, or you can always call 888-235-HELP, and the number's up on the screen. Wednesday, June 1st, 2016, 6:30 to 8 p.m., we have a seminar, Time to Say Goodbye to My Debt. It's not the one about Mr. Debtman, but it's similar. Time to Say Goodbye to My Debt. I don't know if Brian likes the name of that seminar like he usually does on my seminars, but it's going to be a good seminar. It's going to cover all the issues. And you know, after the last seminar, someone buzzed me and said, is it always bankruptcy? And I said, because they didn't go to the seminar. And I said, no, it's not always bankruptcy. What it always is lining up the options that you have to get rid of your debt in the cheapest way and in the fastest way. Sometimes the recommendation is bankruptcy, but there's always other alternatives. The important thing is learning what your options are so you make the right choice. Wednesday, June 1st, 2016, 6:30 to 8 p.m. All the seminars at our offices in Bingham Farms, 12 and F and Telegraph. Sign up again, thavgross.com, lawandreality.com, or call 888-235-HELP. Go to our websites. There's 3 free reports. Business formation, loans and grants for small businesses in Detroit and Michigan. 14 programs to get funding for your business. Pat's Retiree's Guide to Social Security, and my report on Regulation X, the hidden secrets to how to stop foreclosure. Those are all free. Just go to the websites and you can download them there. I want to thank our sponsors, Thav Gross and Samasco Law. All right, now let's go back to what we were talking about before we came to the break. Here's the question. Next question. What if mom and dad need help, but they're not so bad off to need the nursing home, but they need assistance for their day-to-day functions? What do you do in that case?
Well, you have to have the big family meeting. And we said, mom's got dementia, what do we do? So you have to have the family meeting about time and what type of services that she's going to need, whether it's pill reminders or food, and you have to have the schedules, and that's when the war starts. That's when
can you get help for that? Wait. First, the war is the war between the siblings because daughter ends up doing it and is mad because brother's not kicking in and helping.
Yes.
I see it all the time.
Every day.
I experienced it in a bizarre kind of a way. My brother lives out of state, so how could he help?
Yeah.
He couldn't really help. But I groaned about it a few times. I have to admit I groaned about it. Then my brother passed away, and then I felt horrifically guilty about the whole thing.
Well, yeah, and you should.
Right.
But it's funny because the caregiver is the whipping person. They're getting whipped from the parents because the parents hate them. Then you have the armchair quarterbacks, called the brothers and sisters that are, and then the stepbrothers and sisters. Yeah. You're not doing the right job, or sometimes the other kids are so involved, and everyone has a different idea of how mom and dad should be cared for. So it is a huge, huge, huge problem.
Now, how do veterans fit into this? Isn't there a benefit that you can get if you're a vet?
Well, let's back up one step. First, Medicaid. Medicaid pays the nursing home, and Medicaid. And I'm going to be on a soapbox for a second. But the one way to fix the Medicaid budget is to pay for people's care at home. Medicaid knows it costs a third of the dollars to keep mom at home versus putting her in a nursing home. But Medicaid doesn't pay for nursing or in-home care. They say they do, but the program's so screwed up that it's impossible to manage it.
I wish I could say this was shocking.
Oh,
but
it's
it has
crazy.
to do with our government ineptitude.
And this is where we're at right now. I'm working with the lawyer who actually helped write the Medicaid law for the waiver program in Lansing. We got his mom on the Medicaid waiver program. He couldn't get Medicaid to pay for the caregivers. It was so screwed up.
What is the waiver program?
The waiver program is they're going to waive the obligation of you being into the nursing home to pay the bill. They're going to allow you to get it at home. But there's long waiting lists, and there's all sorts of bureaucracy, and the
So
caregiver.
from a practical standpoint, it's not available right now?
Well, they say that it is, but in reality, the law is yes. The reality is it's a nightmare.
Right.
So the VA benefit, though, so VA is great to help pay for in-home care if you're a wartime veteran or the spouse of a wartime veteran. World War II, not many left. Korea. We're getting older, and then Vietnam is starting to get to the point. So if you're a married couple, you can get up to $2,000 a month. Single vet, about $1,800, and a surviving spouse, $1,150.
What's the key to trigger point that you're entitled to it? 2 daily functions?
Yeah.
What do they talk about?
What they look at is that you have to be having two activities of daily living.
Which are?
Shower assist, getting dressed in the morning.
Medication?
Medication management. Walking to the dining room, actual activities of daily living.
And then how do you qualify? How do you prove to the VA that you meet that requirement? A doctor's letter?
You need a doctor's note that says you need it, and you have to be paying for the services. So eligible, wartime vet, honorable discharge, over 65, qualified, assets under $80,000 plus the house for a married couple, single person, house, $40,000 in assets. And now you need to be spending your income on your care.
On your care? We've run out of time. We're going to carry this topic and material over, same question and answer process, into next week's show. And I know on wartime vets and Medicaid planning, there's a difference in whether you have a look-back rule or don't, which we'll talk about in next week's show. But the basic issue, so the wartime vet has the ability to get compensation to pay for the caregiver. That will take a little bit of the sting out of the sibling problems. Well, can the siblings be compensated for the care?
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's a great program that a lot of people don't even realize is available, because right off the bat, once you bring in a caregiver, you have cost coming out, and that cost is a lot depending on how bad mom and dad are. We'll be back next week, same topic, with Law and Reality. Thanks for watching.